Welcome to the Angry Nerd Podcast. My name is Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. the Angry Nerd, a.k.a. Arshawn the Mouthpiece, the cat that got lost in Arkansas on his way to South Beach. The Angry Nerd Podcast is taped in front of a live Facebook audience from my mom's basement. The Angry Nerd Podcast is made possible by some bad life choices and a few shattered dreams. The Angry Nerd Podcast is brought to you in part by money that my wife gives me from my SSI check, a chick named Joni, and proceeds from listeners like you. If you want to be one of the listeners that helps contribute to this show getting better and better, go to Cash App. My Cash App is $the Angry Nerd. But pump your brakes. We ain't internet begging out here. Oh no, we have channel merch. You can go order one of the official Angry Nerd t-shirts by hitting me up on the inbox if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can email me at theangrynerdpodcast@gmail.com. Give me your size, address, $20 plus shipping, and get one of these beautiful shirts shipped out to you or a family member. So, tonight's topic, life after my social media fast. I went on, I think it was the end of November. I started the end of November and I got off of social media altogether until after the first of the year. And let me tell you, for the most part, I haven't missed anything. Haven't missed anything at all. Pretty much the same Debbie Downer people who are on there are still Debbie Downers, and the same people who are talking about motivation and building and going to the next level and positive things, they're still doing their things. So shout out to all my people who are finding a way, especially as tough as times are right now with the pandemic and the economy the way it is and the presidential election being the debacle that it was and still is. So shout out to everybody who's finding a way and making a way out of no way. That is the American way, isn't it? Landing on a rock where less sophisticated people are already living and figuring out a way to make their stuff your stuff. Jokes. These are jokes, people. Anyways, but I reflect on my time of fasting from social media, and I had some good days. I had some bad days. But I will tell you that a social media fast is necessary, because you'll find yourself reaching for your phone, or you'll be on your phone and you'll find yourself scrolling for an app. At one point, I had to just remove the apps from my phone because like my fingers just naturally scroll up to Facebook and hit the icon. And I watch Facebook or I watch Instagram. What do you call it? The storyline or timeline. That's what it's called. And I had to fill that time with other activities that I had neglected. Time that could be spent working on my business. Time that could be spent writing jokes. Time that could be spent writing material, researching topics. Precious time is what I was able to retrieve during my social media fast. And I will tell you that I didn't always use that time in those 40 days or however long it was. I was on my Jesus stuff, 40 days and 40 nights, no social media. But I didn't always use the time as wise as I should. So what I recognize is that oftentimes I'll be on social media from a place of complacency. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making any forward progress. I'm not doing anything worthwhile, so I'll just turn on social media. And what I found out is oftentimes I would just scroll for an hour, 2 hours, I don't know, just scrolling, and you'll find all manner of crazy stuff on the internet. But it was pretty peaceful. It was pretty peaceful. I wasn't worried about notifications. I wasn't worried about creating content. In that respect anyway, as far as posting memes and stuff like that. So I think it's very necessary. I think it's something that everyone should experience. Go on the 40 days and 40 nights, no social media challenge. How about we start that? They'll shut the internet down. But I came out of the social media fast, and there was just so much crazy stuff going on. You got people who are paraplegics and quadriplegics storming the Capitol. You got soccer moms getting shot in the face by cops, storming the Capitol building. And I was oblivious to any of this stuff going on until I got back on social media. I was like, what is going on in the world? The only guilty pleasure that I had is that I would watch internet shows, and I would also listen to AFR, American Family Radio, that uber right-wing radio station. They are Team Trump all the way. They are total Republicans, total Christians. They are a very particular and peculiar type of people. Based on the information that I've heard on American Family Radio, it's a borderline cult. Is what I'm getting from it, but it's all good. Anyways, getting back to the folks storming the Capitol. How does that happen? Let's not be sidetracked. The mainstream media loves to keep us sidetracked and mentally off balance, talking about trivial things like the race of the people that stormed the Capitol. What if let's go down the rabbit hole with me for just a second. What if these weren't a group of random white people who wanted their $600 stimulus checks? By the way, it's a slap in the face, considering the money that this country has and the resources that this country possesses. $600 is a slap in the face. Anyways, but the people going down there to the Capitol to storm for whatever their reasons were. What if these people worked for one of our enemies? What if these were some people that they converted to whatever their beliefs are over there, in Russia or North Korea or South Korea, whichever one that we're into it with. What if these people were trying to see, what if this was the test group to see how difficult it would be to actually weaponize Americans to take over the White House? Oh, but y'all don't hear me though. What if this was a test run to see how much time a group that wanted to harm the United States of America would actually have to storm the Capitol if it used American citizens or American-looking citizens? What if they want to keep us, the regular Tom, Dicks, and Harrys of the world, of the country, sidetracked, talking about, if that was black people that stormed the Capitol? We know what would have happened if it was black people that stormed the Capitol. They would have shot them Negroes down. Simple and plain. A Bell 209 chopper would have flew across the top of it. They'd have sprayed the front lawn. They'd have killed 17, 18 people at the drop of a hat. That would have happened instantly. We know that. Racism is as American as apple pie. You got to understand that this country was founded on racism. There is a clause in the United States Constitution that talks about black men being 3/5 of a person. And intelligent people understand that they didn't mean that as 3/5 of a person, like you're not human. They meant how black people were counted in the census when it came to 6 senators and electoral college and how many votes that state got in X, Y, and Z. Because if they didn't do that, then the South would have had a lot more numbers because they had a lot more slaves. So let's not talk about something trivial like race. Let's talk about some real shit like these people are testing our government. These people are testing our army to see how fast they're going to respond. Did you see the guy backpedaling up the steps as the women approached? As the guys approached with their hands up? Did you see how far these people actually got? Now, what if one of those people was wearing a bomb vest? What if one of those people was carrying a biological weapon? Oh, but we're not ready to talk about that, are we? We're talking about something trivial and small like black and white. If this country is laid siege to and taken over by another country, how different do you think the United States is going to look if Putin overthrows our government and implants himself as the commander-in-chief of this country? Or one of our other myriad of enemies? What if one of them is testing us to see, because our army isn't right here. Oftentimes, when you look at these other countries, their armies are right there on the scene in their country, handling business there. Our forces are spread throughout the world. You know how long it's going to take to get everybody back home to hold it down if it goes bad? Do you know how long that's going to take? I don't know, but I do know that they just recorded some information that they can take back to their think tank, because this may not happen in 10 years, in 20 years, 50 years. These people think long term. These people think in terms of the next 100 years, the next 200 years. One thing about it, nobody likes a champion who's a champion for too long. And the United States has been the champion for a long time. Why does everybody hate Floyd Mayweather? Once upon a time, Floyd Mayweather was America's sweetheart. But then after a while, no, it's not his attitude. A lot of champions were cocky. A lot of champions are cocky. What's the other guy's name? The notorious one in the UFC, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's a cocky dude. But everyone loved Conor McGregor. Well, it's easy to love somebody who's only a champion for a little while, loses the championship, gets the championship back. America loves a comeback story. Why do you think we allowed them to make 7 Rockies? Because America loves a comeback story. Nobody, human beings, love comeback stories. Nobody likes the guy who's number one forever. Anybody who's risen to greatness has had a lot of hate. Usually, those people get loved posthumously. Everybody hated Jordan when Jordan was playing. Jordan is adored now. Oh, they hated Martin Luther King. He's adored now. He has his own holiday. So, how do you think the rest of the world feels about the United States? The guy who's been winning every race. The guy who wins every contest. They hate us. They hate this country. They hate everything that we stand for. And they watch us run around and act like buffoons on a daily basis. They watch us sit on Facebook and Instagram and talk about black and white, and they are setting the stage to take the reins of this country. And nobody's talking about that, and that's very disheartening. That's very disheartening because all of the mainstream media platforms, all of the social media platforms are talking about bullcrap. That's what all the social media platforms are talking about, as well as the major media outlets. Pundits are saying that if these were a group of African Americans storming the Capitol building, that there would have been a very different reception. Duh. Of course it would have been. Let's not talk about that. Now is a time for us to really be banding together. Look, I know you don't like black people. And listen, I know you don't like the fact that I put raisins in potato salad. But listen, we need to put that stuff aside for right now, because we need to be on guard and on point for whatever these people over here across the ocean have planned for our homes. I don't see it as an arbitrary thing done by some right-wingers. I see this as a strategic reconnaissance mission put forth by some people who don't mean us any good. As a country, these people don't mean us any good. That's all I'm saying. And I think that oftentimes we will take the clickbait. We will latch on to the misinformation and the disinformation. We'll cling to these things. And we won't see what's really going on. And then we'll listen to somebody like me talk about it and say, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. Am I really? If you really think on it, there's been some wild stuff happen in this world in our lifetimes. That was crazy. Totally crazy. In my lifetime, I saw him hang Saddam Hussein from the gallows. Wait a minute, y'all arrested this man. Y'all took this man back to his country and y'all let him hang this man? Yeah, they did that. Do you know how many, we talk about reparations and we talk about the social, moral, and spiritual debt due this country to black people. And I think that we get so sidetracked by what we think and what we feel and our plight that we don't realize that this country has done a wrong to a majority of the world. Let me say that again. This country has done a wrong to the majority of the world. It's just the truth. Everywhere you go, there's a United States consulate or an embassy and things like. When someone plants their flag on your soil, that is not an act of friendship. When someone comes over to your house without your permission and they decide, hey, I'm going to take this room over here. I'm going to take this room over here, okay? And it's not really a question. It's just, this is what's about to happen, and you're going to be all right with it. And I'll throw you a couple of dollars on the rent every month. And this country has done that all over the world. And we have to recognize there's a lot of people who won't understand the place that I'm coming from, because I'm coming from the place of somebody who lived a seedy lifestyle for a very long time. And when you live like a dirt bag, this country has lived like a dirt bag. You have to always be on guard. Nothing is arbitrary. When you're a street person, when you're out there in the streets, nothing's arbitrary. Nothing's a coincidence. That car did pass through here twice. I'm on point. Hey, didn't I just see that guy at the mall? Now I see him on my block. This isn't a coincidence. So I think that as a country, the people of this country need to develop that mindset. These things are not arbitrary. These things aren't random. These things are very strategic, and I think a lot of people don't really understand that. A lot of small-minded, low-bottom thinkers are talking about black and white. What would have happened? Well, what if the powers that want to see this country fall use blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white men and women to do it? Catch that dirt. That's what you need to think about when we're sitting up here arguing over black and white. We keep too much of our country's business in the eye of the people. Those people can get on Facebook. Those people can get on Instagram. They can see what we're about. They can get on Fox. They can get on CNN. And they can see this is a country that is in turmoil and it's going to implode. And what do you think that they're doing? They're rallying their troops and they're sitting back. What did Trump tell the Proud Boys? Stand by and stand back. Gotta love Trump. But seriously, that's what they're doing. They're standing back and they're standing by because these people are going to screw up. And when they do, all of that rich land and that infrastructure that they already have over there in America, it'll all be ours. A lot of these other country dictators and leaders, and they got all different sorts, and prime ministers and presidents and sultans and imperial goddesses, they are waiting. They are chomping at the bit. They're chomping at the bit. And as soon as they get their opportunity, you think they're not going to take it? The neighborhood bully. When somebody decides to stand up to the neighborhood bully, and the neighborhood bully takes a good shot and he stumbles, and everyone sees he's just a kid, he's just a little bit bigger than us, what usually happens to the neighborhood bully? I don't know what neighborhood you guys grew up in, but typically, after we see that the neighborhood bully can be beat, all the other kids jump on the neighborhood bully. And in that analogy, the United States of America is the neighborhood's bully. And if they see the United States take a hit, all these so-called allies that we have, watch how fast they abandon ship and side with the people that who are openly our adversaries. But make no mistake about it, the same way in the streets, the cross usually comes from someone close to you. It's usually a buddy of yours, or somebody you went to school with, someone that you grew up with. Very seldomly are you robbed by a random person. When you're in the street life, you're typically robbed by somebody that knows you. And that's how the United States is going to fall. Because the jukes is going to come from within. Because we are a group of people who are divided amongst ourselves. Because we're still talking about black and white. Our government ain't for the right things. Our government isn't for the right things, because if they were for the right things and they were for unity and they were for peace, they would give black people reparations. They would give a formal apology on behalf of the United States of America to black people. I know that this doesn't mean very much, black people of this country, but you mean a lot to us. And our forefathers screwed over your forefathers. And I would like to begin repairing that by giving you some of the money that this country has benefited from your forefathers' free work and free labor. This country can't be strong. It can't be unified if the playing field isn't level. And we recognize that we didn't have slaves. We didn't beat people. We didn't put people on boats. But our ancestors did. And you guys are the offspring and the byproduct of that terrible industry known as human trafficking. And we would like to work as a country to make you feel like this country is just as much yours as it is mine. I'll tell you something very noteworthy happened to me recently. This is just all the stuff that's been going on since I went on my Facebook fast. So the job that I had been at for a number of years, I was let go. I won't get off all into that because, anyways, I won't even speak on that. Anyways, I was let go. I found myself looking for a gig. So I was working other jobs in the meantime, between time, until I found one that was suitable. Which is why once the year started, I wasn't able to start the show back up, because now I'm working night shifts. Now I'm working nights, and it's difficult. Your life is just out of order. It's in total chaos when you work nights. I don't see how people work nights. But I was able to get this gig, suitable pay. It's great. But in the meantime, in between time, I was working with a couple of different friends and family members in their personal businesses, and also doing my small business as well, keeping my family afloat. And shout out to my wife. She did her part too. She's a trooper. But I was able to be around, I thought I knew some rich people. Until I met some rich people. And I found out the rich people that I know are just like regular white people. Because their house is so big and so luxurious and so beautiful. And you're like, wow, this is something right out of a magazine. And then when I met some real rich people, and there's a whole community, there are communities of them everywhere. And I'm like, maybe this guy is a retired football player. He's a computer analyst. You know, it's like these guys just have regular jobs. I don't know very many black people, I don't know any black people personally that live like that. I remember being in these people's home and I was like, it's like a building. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. Now, I conducted myself appropriately. I didn't act like, you know, the Negro that ain't never been nowhere. And I'm in New York now and I'm looking at the skyscrapers and stuff. I'm very cool about it. I have what the old people call couth. Yeah, so I have couth and I have tact. So I'm not walking around acting like some uncultured buffoon who's never been in a nice home. But when I left, I called my wife and I was like, you really married down, you know, you married down. To think that there are regular people in the world who live like this, to think that there are people in the world who have houses that look like the White House, and they're just regular people. These aren't like politicians. They aren't like big time CEOs or anything like that. And I'm like, and I recognize there's levels to this white stuff. You know, like I got some white friends that are doing okay, like exceptionally well by black standards, but they're just doing okay in the white world. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it. There are definitely levels to whiteness, just like there are to blackness. I didn't know that because I'm black and I've been around black people, and the white people that I hang out with black people. So I ain't got no money. So I was exposed to this type of living that I thought was a fairy tale. And it helped me realize that the statistics are right. The statistics are true in relation to the wealth gap in America. Because I didn't see any black people in these gated communities. You need a code to get in the neighborhood, and then you need a code to get in their estate. I said, these people don't trust anyone. They got a code to get in their community, their neighborhood, whatever you call it. And then you need a code to get on their estates and compounds. It was crazy. It was crazy. Man. Anyway, but what it helped me see is that the wealth gap in America is real. And another thing that these people had in common were these were like the boomers. Like these people were in their late 60s and 70s. You know, like these were old people. It wasn't like a bunch of young, fly, little Hollywood looking dudes riding around in convertibles and stuff. It was all old people, you know, and they come from that generational wealth that was created during those times, during slavery, during Reconstruction and all that. These were the people who benefited greatly from those institutions. Is what I later found out. When you go and you dig up the history and you find out who these people are and who their families are and their history, and you're like, okay, America, we need to fix this. We need to fix it. Because I know far too many people who don't live like that than I know who do live like that. So I think that this country needs I think we talked about it before, a facelift. This country needs the paradigm needs to change, because there are too many stereotypes that are actually true in relation to this country and its socioeconomic scale. It's all the way off. It's all the way messed up. So another thing that I've done in my time off of social media is trying to get back in touch with, the spiritual side of things. And it's so difficult for me to do. I read something one time that says, intellectual people have problems with relationships and spirituality. And I don't necessarily call myself an intellectual or anything like that, but I identified with both of those two things. I said, man, I might be an intellectual. This is before I knew what the word intellectual actually meant. And I was like, maybe I'm an intellectual. I have a problem with relationships and spirituality. But it's hard for me to do anything religiously. Like, I decided that I wanted to pray every day. I had to set an alarm. I literally have an alarm set to remind me to say a prayer, even if it's just something as simple as thank you, God, for the day. Thank you for, I have food today. I just want to say a prayer about something, try to spend, some type of spiritual time throughout the course of my day. And that was one of the things that I've done. I personally don't know if I'm any closer to God. I personally don't know if my spiritual connection has gotten any stronger. I don't know. I've been monitoring it. I pretty much feel the same. I pretty much do all the same stuff. But I do feel better. I do feel better about initiating that relationship, my spiritual relationship. I do feel better about that. The fact that I'm actively working towards something on the spiritual side of the game. I got all my Christians are about to leave now. But anyways, I got my sage and I got my stones and everything like that. I'm that dude. I'm the energy guy. I'm the universe guy. Which I don't subscribe to religion, but I get down with prayer. I all the way 100% fool with prayer, meditation. If someone is the right kind of person, I will allow them to pray for me and pray with me because I believe in that. I believe that there's power in prayer. I believe that there is power in unifying and getting together and your energy linking with my energy and tapping into the Most High, the universe, the supreme ruler, whatever you want to call God. I believe that there's power in that. So I want to be able to share my energy and share that power with other people. I want people who come into my presence to feel that power. I want people to feel that goodness, that relationship that I have with the Most High. I want people to automatically know that when they deal with me. So it's been my belief that I need to start practicing that. So every day at 11 o'clock, my alarm goes off and I say a prayer. Dylan Brackley in the chat. For my listeners on Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube, when you hear me address the chat, I'm talking to my brothers and sisters in Facebook Live because while I record this for Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube, I also record live from Facebook because it's all I can afford right now. Anyways, but my boy Dylan Brackley in the chat says, you put your glasses on religiously. You brought up glasses. That's what jumped out to me. So I'm in the middle of writing a joke right now, about the invisible man that breaks shit in your house and moves things around. You can never find anything because this guy is always moving it. So my glasses got broken. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm that guy who, if I got a hole in my shirt, I'll show it to you so that somebody doesn't just put me out there. But anyways, so I broke. Of course, nobody knows. My wife, my two boys, there's 4 people that live in this house. I didn't break the glasses. My wife didn't break the glasses. Which one of you guys broke my glasses? My 3-year-old only knows 42 words, but he knows how to say, I don't know. Everyone says, I don't know. Yes, and that makes me so angry. I get so angry when that happens. But anyways, I'm in the middle of writing a joke about that, but that made me think about that, Dylan. The invisible man who breaks and moves and relocates shit in your house while you're not looking. But time away from social media has really, opened my eyes to a lot of things, though. How much time is spent on social media that could be spent writing your proposal. I know that at one point I was working on a proposal for the school board for some work that I was going to be doing with the youth. And I was going through my documents on my Google Docs or Word, wherever I was at. And I came across it and I was like, wow, what happened there, buddy? Probably Facebook, probably Instagram, probably wasting your effing time scrolling Facebook. Probably one of those things. So I was able to spend a lot of this time plotting and planning on what we are going to do moving forward, not only with the Angry Nerd podcast in 2021, but my custom t-shirt business. We've just expanded our business. We haven't gotten things all the way up and running on that side of the game, so I'm not going to speak about it. Dylan knows a little bit about it. He's the only person I really talk to about it. Me and Dylan are working on some things there. And I think some great creativity came out of this 40-day fast from social media. Me and Jim McDonough are putting together a comedy show. It's going to be great. It's going to be funny. It's going to be fun. It's going to be something different to do. We're going to hit you guys with dates and times, and we're going to have a laugh. And we're also going to bring you guys information. We're going to bring you guys information. We're going to make you laugh. We're going to create events where you can come and have a good time. These are going to be adult events. I think that later on in the game, once I have the proper resources, we'll focus on some things for kids and the youth. But in this country, in the working class, I won't even say in this country, I will say something that I've noticed, a trend amongst the working class, is that our children are the centerpiece of our lives. And oftentimes we don't really have much of an identity outside of those children. Oftentimes, mom and dad are really strangers to each other anymore because the focus is on the kids. And I don't think that as adults we spend enough time interfacing, and I don't think that we spend enough time. I'm super guilty of this. I can't remember the last date night. I remember before my baby boy was born, I remember us going bowling and Incredible Pizza and doing things and going places and having life experiences. But once you have children, it's all about the kids. You know, my other kids are older, so I'm a douche to them anyway. But, you know, the little guy, you know, like I'm still like his representation of God right now. He's 3. So I'm everything, you know, a toy in the Happy Meal. Oh, look what my dad got. Actually, that just comes standard in every Happy Meal, son, but I'll go ahead and take I'll take the accolades since you're giving them out. But so I think that these shows that we're promoting moving forward are going to be geared toward adults. I don't want children there. The subject matter is going to be adult. The environment is going to be adult. People will be drinking and things of that nature. So it's just not a child-friendly environment. And this is grown folks comedy. So the subject matter is not going to be child-friendly. But yeah, moving forward, we got some big things coming. I'm also joined with Kevin Palmer over at Wolfpack Elite. We're working on some things as far as fitness. I mean, just all kinds of stuff is coming down the pipe, man. And we're right on the cusp of, what is that word you want? I'm going to make up a word, CDO-dom. We're right on the cusp of being CEOs. I mean, we already are technically because we have the businesses, but it's like you're the CEO of a business that's got $600 in the bank. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you got a car, but I mean, it ain't a dunk. You know what I'm saying? Come on, get out of here. But we are on the verge of doing some very big things. I have a lot of collaborations going on right now. Savage Hippies, shout out. Jim McDonough, Dylan Brackley, shout out. David Pagan, shout out to you, my good brother. Can't wait to do something with my guy, Aaron Vincent. He's so supportive of me and everything that I do. Can't wait till me and him can collab and get some things going. Kevin Palmer, shout out. Man, we're doing big things this year, man. And I just wanted to take that last 40 days of 2020, and I wanted to reflect, and I wanted to sort of cleanse my palate. in relation to absorbing information and being bombarded with information, to make sure that I'm bringing quality information and to make sure that I am presenting it in a way that it doesn't put very many people off. I get all the way right down to it. I don't give a shit because it wasn't for you, or maybe you haven't got there yet, because we all reach a level of development at a different rate. You know, you've ever been in a relationship with somebody and you have transcended the bullshit. You're here now and you're operating here, and the relationship falls apart because you guys don't know how to communicate that. You don't know how to communicate the fact that, well, I have risen above that. I haven't risen above you. I'm not saying I'm above you. I'm just not there anymore. And those people can stay together and have a successful relationship if they are willing to recognize that, hey, everyone doesn't develop at the same rate. Oftentimes what happens, though, is this person who's up here begins to feel like you're holding me back because you're still here. This person who's still here feels like you're lording over me and speaking down to me because you're up here. And the relationship falls apart. So what I'm saying is, I wanted to take some time out for myself to not be bombarded by all of this information, so that I could convey my message and my information in the most effective way possible to the people who listen to me. So that was my motivation for that. There were several different things all rolled up into that, and I think it was very beneficial. And then there's a cynical part of me that feels like I still feel the same. Nothing's different. Nothing's different. Staying off social media for 40 days didn't do anything for you. You still wake up and put your pants on one leg at a time. It's just that cynical part of my brain is just always like, that is bullcrap. That's the same way I felt when I was in church. I always felt like I was the worst Christian in the history of Christians, because everybody would have their hands in the air and their eyes closed and they're speaking in tongues. And I pretended to speak in tongues. I remember I used to pretend to speak in tongues. I would be over there, I would like hear other people's, what they were saying in tongues. And I'd be like, oh, I like that. I'm going to put that in my tongues. You know, I didn't. So because I had that experience in church, I always feel like all these people are phony. These people are doing the same thing I'm doing. You don't feel I'm sitting there with my hands up and I'm like, please, Jesus, come into my heart. Please take these thoughts of scantily clad women out of my brain. Please, Jesus. You know, and the whole time I was and I could never keep my eyes closed. Like, I don't trust people like that. You know, I'm sort of a dirtbag. You know, I would prank someone while they were praying. I would do that. So I imagine that I'm not the only person like that. So I raise my hands in the air and I look around and everybody's so sincere. And I'm like, look, maybe God, I'm a cool dude. Maybe God doesn't have the Spirit move me in that particular fashion because I don't rock like that. But anyways, y'all don't want to hear me talk about my times in the church. You think that Housewives of Atlanta is scandalous? They need to have Housewives of the Church. I don't know. I don't watch TV like that, so they might. But they need to have real preachers' wives or something like that. Because let me tell you, the church, there's more action going on in the church than the club parking lot. I'm not kidding you. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to really touch bases with you guys. And I think that this is going to be the time moving forward. Fridays at 7 p.m. I think it's a good time because I've had a chance to sleep. As you guys can see, for you guys who have iPhones with those great cameras, I got bags under my eyes big enough to carry $50 worth of groceries. So I need to get my sleep. I need to get my rest. I said, wow, man, I'm starting to look my age. I got a birthday coming up. My birthday is next Friday. Matter of fact, I always remember my birthday because it's a week after Martin Luther King's birthday. So that's how I always remember it. That's some old Negro type stuff right there. Let me check out the chat real quick. What my man Dylan say? The people making their own effing destiny. I'm gonna say it. Can I say it, y'all? Can I say the F word? People making their own fucking destiny without shackles is what's happening. Shout out, Dylan. I love that. Aaron Vincent says, tongue biter. No more biting her tongue because that hurts. But I do digress from using some of the language that I would typically use, just because I know that your boys are watching, and I know that if your boys are watching, they aren't the only kids that could possibly be watching or listening. So I try not to get too gritty, but I have just opened a lane for that because I have just started a new segment of the Angry Nerd podcast called Man Talk Tuesdays. Tall Shit Talk Tuesday, man. This is going to be me and a friend of mine, never telling who it is because I know so many different people. I know so many different guys, but this is going to be a platform where men have real men conversations. And there's no telling which direction this conversation could go. And I'm letting you know right now, if you are one of those uber Christians, super sensitive people, don't listen. We're not going to record that conversation live. It'll be done here in the studio, and then I will upload it to Podbean and Spotify and YouTube. I will upload it at a later date because just for the sanctity of the Facebook audience, I want to maintain this platform and this structure here on Facebook so that if you have a little cousin who you want to hear my information, you don't be like, oh man, ain't no telling what he's going to say though. You know, last time he was talking about P's and V's and D's. I'll let y'all fill in the blanks on what P's, what those letters stand for. But we're going to have hardcore, gritty, grown man talk on Tall Shit Talk Tuesdays. And I invite you guys over to Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube to listen. Because, and I think that if you're one of the hardcore men parents like myself, you may want your son or your nephew or your little cousin to listen to these conversations, because oftentimes these women are raising these little boys by themselves, and they don't hear men talking. They don't hear men interacting. They hear women, catty women. And I know I don't say catty in a disrespectful way. That's just their way. They're catty and we are vulgar. Oftentimes our conversations get pretty vulgar. And I come from the old school in my mentality with that, because I remember saying a curse word as a kid. My dad didn't say, hey boy, don't talk like that. My dad would say, hey boy, don't talk like that in front of your mom. You don't talk like that in front of women. So I was socialized to where we have these conversations absent the feminine persuasion being present. So Tall Shit Talk Tuesday is going to be a platform for the fellas. I do not discourage any woman who wants to go on there and listen to Tall Shit Talk Tuesdays. I just want you to beware, ladies, that you're going to hear some things that you probably aren't going to like right out the gate. You're going to hear some things that are going to have you looking at your husband upside his head, because there are a lot of things that we talk about amongst ourselves that most of us just don't have the courage or just don't want to deal with the headache and hassle of being honest with our women about these things. So Tall Shit Talk Tuesday is going to be a platform where we can come and have these conversations as men and not have to worry about who's watching on Facebook. Did my mom see me like that comment? Dang, he just said some crazy stuff, but I agree with it. But I don't want my coworkers to know that I agree with that line of thinking. And Tall Shit Talk Tuesday is going to be a platform where we can have these conversations and we can chop it up and we can build as men. As you all know, that we have the collective, the men's mental health group that we all participate in. We just text each other and we chime in on different topics and different situations going on with the brothers in the group. So this is going to be an avenue, a little more hardcore avenue that men can take to get some sort of release. Because sometimes you got to get some stuff off your chest. And that doesn't always mean you saying it, but hearing another man say some stuff that you like, man, I knew I wasn't tripping. Oh, I knew that was right. Oh, that's exactly my point. There's a level of fulfillment in knowing that you're not alone in your daily struggles. So these are some of the things that we got coming down the pipe. I want you guys to be on the lookout for it. I want y'all to fool with us. I want y'all to mess with us, Fool with us because you're cool with us. Fuck with me because you're stuck with me. Man, my name is Arshawn Wade, a.k.a. The Angry Nerd. Peace.